Hi, welcome to this week's Dragonblade Authors Unplugged. I'm so excited to talk to you this week, and I really am here behind the bouncing EA. Um, there's a delay on my feed that's bad enough that makes it look like a badly dubbed movie. So I'm going to go just as my initials today. But with us, we have E.L. Johnson and Belle Ami. Ladies, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Anytime.
Hello.
We can all hear each other.
We will hopefully Belle will catch up. Erin, your book launched first this week, so let's go ahead and start with yours, and maybe that will give Belle a chance to.
I'm on here. Can't you see?
You got it. I can see you, but you were acting like you couldn't hear. So if you can hear, we're good to go.
Now we're.
This is Thanksgiving week with the technical difficulties. So. All right. So, Erin, your book launched first this week, and it is The Mistress Murders, which is the third book in the Perfect Poison series. And I love the setup for this one. The Poison Letter Writers. That's fascinating. Can you tell us a little bit about your book and also about your hero and heroine?
Sure. So this is the third book in the Perfect Poison series. Like you said, it stars Poppy Morton, a young 19-year-old girl who doesn't fit within society's standards of beauty. She's tall, she's a bit too thin, she's not very attractive looking, kind of plain, but she's really smart. And she found out recently that her mother, who she thought was long dead, is actually living alive and well in London. And so she needs an excuse to go find her, because in 19th century England, you can't just go off on a day trip in your teens. It's not done, especially as a young lady. And so she decides to apply to become a companion to a lady searching for one in London. And her application is accepted, and she's invited to go to London. So she goes under this pretense to find really her mother. And in doing so, she meets these mistresses, and they've got a problem in that all of them are receiving these poison pen letters. So dealing with the idea of poison, not only, physical poison or like mental, emotional, but also just like a poison pen letter. And they have no idea who these letters are coming from, but whoever receives them, after a while, they start to die. And so, it's exciting. It's a mystery. And that's basically what I write, is historical mysteries. And so this is Poppy's, her quest to find her mother in London and to save these mistresses and find out who done it. So yeah, there's some returning characters, a lot of new characters, and it's quite fun. So that's my book.
Yeah, it sounds like it. So did you have to do much research into how you would write a poison pen letter? Like, what does your search history look like?
So I found out that poison pen letters, the term, doesn't really fit within my time period. So this book is set in 1806, 1807. And yeah, poison pen letters weren't really a thing until much later on, which, fair enough. I think that, the idea of writing nasty letters to each other definitely predates the 19th century for sure. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I thought, let's go with it. I thought it'd be fun. So there we go. Slightly historically inaccurate, but that's okay.
It sounds like a lovely setup and a great story. And are there any more in this series?
Yes. So right now I'm writing book 4, The Deadly Debutante, because I love alliteration. And once again, I've discovered that I'm slightly historically inaccurate in that the term debutante didn't come about until much later. So once again, that's okay. I'm aware of it. But, I think as authors writing historical books, it helps sometimes to put a little historical note toward the end of the book. And that way we can address any, inaccuracies, any glaring ones in my case, anything like that, just to kind of help readers feel reassured that we have done the research. We know what we're doing. This is our story. This is it.
Deliberate choices. Awesome. Well, it sounds like so much fun.
Thank you.
And Belle, your book launches second this week, and it actually launches on Thanksgiving Day, which is
like, really going to get a lot of attention. As we're, I could see him basting and reading.
Well, no, I'm going to be eating, and then I'm going to be lounging. My sister is doing most of the cooking this year, so I'm going to. I'm going
lucky
to eat
thing,
So, but your book is the second book in the series, and we actually haven't had a chance to talk about the first book either. So if you want to give us a little bit of background on London Time was the first book, and then Paris Time is the book that releases this week.
Exactly.
And the series setup for this one is really, really interesting.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a
It's
bit about it?
Sure. So it begins obviously in the present. It's like think Sex in the City. It's three women who met in an online book club, and they fell in love with this book called The Time Traveler's Lover. And the book is about. It was found after World War II, and the author is unknown. It's supposed to be an anonymous book, or they don't know. And the book is a sensation. It's a worldwide sensation, and it's all about. It starts off in actually World War II in Paris. It doesn't start there, but it's about the three. Well, because it's the book starts, not my book, but the book in the book starts in World War II when uh, a young woman a Jewish woman, is suddenly time travel when a Nazi shoots her. She disappears. And she ends up in Renaissance Italy, and she falls in love. This is the story in the book. She falls in love with an artist on the level of Leonardo da Vinci in 1503. So that's that's what the book's about, that brings the three women together. And then and he's an artist, and he painted this series called The Three Stages of Love. And each painting it has a woman in it who is fading. And they go to the Met. Anyway, they all meet in New York, and they go to the Metropolitan Museum. And one by one, they are, through the portal in the painting, they are sucked into the painting because the artist wants to, well, it's a whole thing that the paintings are secret portals.
Oh no.
We lost her.
Belle. We lost
no.
Belle.
Oh no. It was so exciting. Oh no.
I know.
The book now. Oh gosh.
Let's see if she pops back in. So hopefully she will pop back in. While we're waiting, we had a third release this week, which is one more in the 12 Days of Christmas. Emily was teasing this week about all the books that are coming out. So there is one more in the 12 Days of Christmas that comes out on Friday.
Exciting.
5 Golden Rings. So if you've been keeping up with that one, that's part of the Dragonblade flame line. So it's kind of spicy Christmas stories. 1 a week from here until Christmas time. So we've got one more of those. Let's hope that Belle can pop back in and join us. Yeah. I got to tell you, I'm kind of liking this not having my face on the screen because I can drink coffee and nobody knows.
But it's quite disconcerting to see me. So I gotta envy you.
So one of the things I was thinking when Belle was talking about the books is what would be the thing that that I would want to take back with me, or that I would miss if I got pulled back in time. Do you have any ideas about something that you would miss if you got pulled back in time?
Toilets.
Yes. And toilet paper, all the disposable paper products of all kinds.
Oh my goodness. So in my book, I've got a scene where Poppy, my main character, is at this dinner party with all these mistresses. And one of them brushes by her and her friend and is like, "Oh, Belle, you're back. You're back. Hello."
Back. I know. I don't know what happened. Everything went black.
No, but we were hanging on the edge of the storytelling.
Okay. So anyway, the artist. Anyway, okay. So the artist. So they're pulled into the paintings, and the first story, of course, is Emily Christie is pulled to London, and she's in the middle of Piccadilly Square, and the carriage is coming. She's going to be run over. It's a pea soup fog, and suddenly the horses rear, and she's rescued by Colin Remington, who's a Marquess. Well, he's going to be when his father dies. He's the son of a Marquess. So anyway, so it's her story, and he's also an investigator. He's investigating a series of murders of young women, of wealthier young, middle class to wealthy young women. So it's a mystery just like yours. There's all 3 books, and they all go back in time. One in Paris. The second book, the one about to be released, will be at the Paris Exposition of 1900. Yeah. Oh, it's again, it's all about them trying to help the artist and Iris Belrose, who is the time traveler. They're all travelers, but she's the one they're trying to help because the only way for her to get back to her artist and live her life is for the portals to be closed. And there's an evil woman, a sorceress, who is from Allegretto's time, who wants to destroy him and destroy the paintings and hold on and end their love affair because he jilted her. He jilted her and he didn't do a painting. So it's really a convoluted story, but it really is a very exciting story.
Oh, and I love the idea of getting to see Paris from a contemporary woman's eyes. I mean, I think that would be so much fun to be able to see those different
Exactly.
time periods through somebody
When she
contemporary.
arrives in Paris, she arrives, and everything that happens in the book is real. I actually stick very close to historical. So at the moment of that she arrives, there was this globe of the world
Mhm.
that was a very big feature on the Quai d'Orsay. It was where and the globe, actually a walkway crumbled and people were killed at
Oh,
the exposition. And that's where she appears. And the chief inspector, who is the love interest in the second book, sees, well, that's where he finds her. That's where they meet. So Jenny ends up in Paris and she ends up meeting Picasso. She meets everybody in Montmartre. And I do put a lot of fun historical moments in the book.
oh, that sounds like fun. That sounds like so much fun. So when you popped out, we were talking about what we would miss if we got pulled back in time. I can't imagine getting pulled back in contemporary clothes and having to find your way too. That would be like a whole different thing. But I think for Erin and I, it was unanimous that we would miss paper products and toilets. So is there something in
Yeah.
particular you would miss if you got sucked back in time?
You know what? I just love those periods. I mean, there are things, and they have to deal with it in my books, but they don't seem to miss it at all. They kind of, they're falling in love. First of all, had all sworn off men. All three of my heroines swore off men. So to meet
Then that
a
doesn't
man
work
from
so
that
well.
period, yeah, it didn't last very long when they met their one and only, their soulmates. So they learn to adapt very quickly, but it does give them their biggest fear is the coming conflagrations of World War I and World War II, which they know will come. And they
Yeah.
have that thought in their mind, and they have to deal with that when they make the decision, because they get to choose, of course, whether they stay or not in the end. And they all stay.
And see,
as would I.
see, that would be another thing that would get me, the moment where you realize you didn't pay enough attention in history class, like something's going to happen, but you don't know what, and you don't know when, and you don't know enough details to be helpful, just enough to be worried about it. That would be that would be.
Well, I'm a history buff, so
Are
that
you?
was like my major. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And you too, Erin?
Yes, all my degrees are in history. So, yes.
Yeah. Mine are art history, but
Ooh,
still
that
works.
makes sense.
Yes, I always there's a lot of art. I write a lot of books that have art historical things about it.
Cool.
Yeah.
I did art history. I did my undergraduate degree is in fine art, and I did art history too as part of that. But it was just a lot of early morning classes and memorizing things. So
Yeah.
I wish I had a better historical context for things, because I think it would have stayed with me more.
Yeah. Art history reflects the history, and it gives you the social. It's where we can see. That's why the art of the Impressionists is so incredible. Otherwise, we'd know far less, particularly earlier periods. If it wasn't for art, you really wouldn't know as much of how people lived.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
It's a snapshot, just like a photograph.
Yep, that makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense. So, ladies, what's coming up for you guys next? What are you working on now? We're getting to the close of the year, and I think that's always a time of reflection, and then planning ahead for what comes next. What's on the horizon?
Go ahead, Erin.
Oh, thanks. Well, right now I'm writing book 4 in the series, and beyond that, I don't know. Yeah, the world is my oyster. I have no idea. And just keep writing, I suppose.
So is that
But
a
yeah.
good feeling, or is that an overwhelming feeling to not have the next story lined right up?
Yeah, I don't know. It's both, I suppose. It's both
Mhm.
freeing and, I could, toward the end of the year, I could definitely use a break. So, yeah, I'm quite happy to have that kind of breathing space. But I know that after a while, once I turn in this last book, I'm going to be like twitchy. Give it a month and I'll be like, all right, I'm ready to, have a deadline and a plan and what's the story brewing and what am I working on? And I'm going to be, wanting to do that. So, yeah.
Do you
What
write
about you?
better with a deadline?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm both like a plotter and a pantser, and
Mhm.
I find that are a pantser. Yeah, I need deadlines to be able to work toward it and be like, okay, this is how I'm gonna, write the book in this time. I'm gonna give myself some breathing space. I'm gonna go back to it and then start editing and proofreading and all that. Yeah, deadlines are essential for me.
Yeah, it always surprises me when there are people that can work without them, or that work ahead, that finish
Amazing.
way ahead, and it's like I need that the hard fixed point to move towards too.
Yeah.
Belle, what about you? What's coming up next for you?
Well, Tuscan Time is the third book in the series, and probably, in a way, the last book in this part of this series.
Because you had the
So
three friends as the setup.
it's the three friends, yeah. But I already plotted the next series. I mean, not plotted, but I already know what I'm doing.
Mhm.
I haven't presented it yet to Catherine, but we'll see. It's going to be, can I say, or an
Yeah,
idea or
no,
whatever?
absolutely.
Oh, okay. So I pretty much am going to base it on it's going to be a hotel, and
Oh,
it's going to be
fun.
a heroine who runs the hotel, and you
Mhm.
can think Downton Abbey kind of happening all around it, and murders take place in the hotel because I always like to throw in a murder or
So
two.
historical
And,
White Lotus.
pardon? Yes,
Historical
yes,
White Lotus.
yes. And then I'm also Catherine has mentioned that she's opening up to historical fiction.
Mhm.
I have a finished historical fiction book that I'm just working on some edits and things on it right now that I'm going to present to her, that I'm really excited about. And I almost don't want to say the name, but I can. It's called Mona Lisa's Daughter, and it's dual timelines, World War II and Renaissance again, because I really am an expert in a lot of Renaissance stuff.
Mhm.
And and then
Oh, wonderful.
I also have another one I'm finishing up, or that's going into edit, is a psychological thriller. Actually, I thought I'd throw one of those in too. So
A
yeah, I have
contemporary?
a lot going on. Yeah, it is a contemporary. So I have a lot going on. I like to keep a few different things in the pot all the time. So
Mhm. Do you plot
that's it.
heavily, or are you
I
more
do
of a
plot,
expert?
but I
Mhm.
do both. I mean, the characters always take over and you sort of like go to where they want to go, and if you don't want to, you have to have an argument with them and come to a decision with them, because they're powerful
Mhm.
once they come to life. They have a lot of control over you, but I cannot write a thriller without plotting. You can't.
I
It's
think heavy
almost
mystery
impossible.
focus too leans itself towards plotting. I think you have to have more of a set idea of where you're going, and,
Yeah,
and your
well,
touch
with the
points along the way.
research, yeah, you have to know what
Mhm.
you're going to go. I think so.
Yeah, wonderful. So I know, Belle, you're on the west coast of the States, and Erin, you are outside of the States.
I
And
am.
I'm in the South. But you said you were celebrating. Belle said she's cooking Thanksgiving dinner, and will be cooking on release day. And Erin, you said you
Yeah.
celebrate Thanksgiving even outside of the state. So I was hoping we could talk a little bit about the things that you like very best about Thanksgiving, either things you remember or foods you particularly love or look forward to, or anything that sticks with you. That Erin,
Bill,
you
do you
can
want
go
to go
first.
first?
Okay. I'll go this one first. Well, I make all the traditionals, but I love stuffing.
Mhm.
I love it all. I mean, I love turkey. I'm doing a garlic lemon gravy with my turkey, and I'm
Oh,
doing
yum.
Yeah, it'll be really good. And then I'm doing a vegetarian stuffing, and I've made all of them. I've done it with sausage. I've done it with, um, uh, what do you put in it? Clams. I've done it with, uh, I forget what they're called. The corn, the nuts. They're not nuts. I've done it all
Oh,
anyway. But
chestnuts.
chestnuts. But I'm going to do a vegetarian because you know what? It gets to be so heavy the meal that I just want to simplify a little bit. And I'm always on a diet, so why would I, want to kill myself and have to gain 5 pounds in one day? And I'm going to do. I'm doing roasted. You know how you take out the twice baked potatoes? I'm going to do the sweet potatoes that way, the yams that way, with a little bit of marshmallows because my son loves that. But my favorite part of Thanksgiving is having my 2 kids here and spending it with them.
Are they both coming home for it?
They're both going to be here for Thanksgiving.
Oh,
Yep.
wonderful.
Yeah. So that makes me happy. And in fact, yeah. And then hopefully it'll all turn out well, and I'll bake a pumpkin pie and all that stuff. And we'll see. I got to get started, go shopping today, actually.
Do you have your turkey?
I've already plotted my list. I've already plotted out my list. It's this long. Go ahead, Ariel. Sorry.
No, not much to add, really. Being in the UK, you don't get quite the same sense of Thanksgiving as you do in the States. So, like, it's just my husband and I, but we live 5 minutes away from a butcher, so we'll go and get turkey, which is great. But what I really miss is when I was living in the US, my mom would make sausage and onion stuffing, but with Jimmy Dean's spicy sausage. So giving it out of cake, and that was really good. And we don't have that in the UK. We'll do sage and onion stuffing, and we can get sage from the backyard, which is brilliant. But yeah, just little differences. Like, on Thanksgiving Day, I would wake up and watch the Macy's Day Parade. And, then once we've had Thanksgiving dinner, which I really miss pumpkin pie, by the way, then, my family put up the Christmas tree. So it's just those little traditions with family that I think are kind of lost a little bit. But, over here, I work in London, and so many of my colleagues, they already have their Christmas decorations up. And I'm just like, why would you do that? It's not Thanksgiving. And they put them up right after Halloween. And I was like, oh my God, you guys are nuts. So it's very different over here. But it's still,
People are doing that here too.
Are they really? Oh,
God. I noticed it right away.
Oh my
it's
God.
Never been earlier. I think everybody after the pandemic is just, they just can't get enough of having things that are lively and exciting.
Yeah.
Because
so
all the Christmas lights are everywhere already.
Oh my God.
And they were the day after. I noticed the day after they went up, the day after Halloween.
Really?
And people have been set, and the stores are loaded. I mean, Costco is like crazy.
Oh my God. I mean, here it's all Christmas stuff now, but just
no,
wait.
It's all Christmas.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Wow.
I think everybody wants a bit of comfort too, and there's something about that comfort and ritual and,
Definitely.
something to lean into. So are you a cornbread stuffing or are you white bread stuffing?
I've done about all of them, but I'm doing sourdough actually this year.
That's my favorite one. Yeah.
Yeah, I've done the cornbread. I like it. It's a little too mushy. I liked it a little more crunch with parts of the stuffing, the tops particularly. Yep. And it's
more like bread pudding, less like custard.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yum. Well, I think one of the reasons that I want to talk about this stuff is because so I can live vicariously through everybody else's recipes. My dad is making the turkey this year, and my sister is doing the cooking. So I'm making chicken liver pate and veggies, and that's all I have to do. So,
well, chicken liver pate is good.
Sous chef. I know, it's like I have to be careful when I make it because I would eat all of it, and so that's a way to exercise restraint. It has to be during, very, very special times. So that I'm not all on my own with it. Wonderful. Well, so do you guys have anything that you're looking forward to with Christmas since we're jumping seasons?
Don't know. End of a new year. I mean, end of the year, start of new year. More writing to be done. Don't know.
Does it feel like Does it feel like an end of the year, like looking forward to it with anticipation this year? I think that's been a little bit, for the last couple of years, that's felt a little bit heavier. And I'm wondering if this year, if we're starting to move back towards that kind of, that kind of anticipatory, here we go, here's the new thing. Here's the new
Maybe.
stuff. But I'm not sure if that's.
I'm looking forward to the world being a little more of a peaceful place. And yeah, all good things are going to happen this year. I just always know it's going to be a great year. I think it's going to be a great year.
Yeah. Well, I would love for it to be a great year. That would be wonderful. So, Erin, do you know when your next book comes out? Do we have a release date yet? I haven't seen it yet.
I'm sure we do. I only remember what days I have to turn them in. So that's the only thing I care about.
We will watch for the debutante.
Wait, no. I want to write it. Yeah, let's see. It's due end of January, so I don't know.
So probably spring.
Yeah.
And Belle, what about Tuscan time? When can we look forward to that?
I don't even remember when it's due, but I think it's like in the spring. But the fact of the matter, I went early on all three. So I mean, I came in early, so I think that I don't know when it's due. I forgot, but it'll be before it's due. I'd like to see it come out in January. I wanted all three in the same year, but it's probably, this book is going a little slower than the other two. Just because it's the end.
I know those are always a little bit bittersweet when you're getting to the end of characters you love. I think that's always kind of, a loaded time. So, well, ladies, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. I really appreciate it. Thank you for putting up with the bouncing EA instead of me. I appreciate that as well. I found it much less distracting, and I like the idea that I can drink coffee while I talk. Then that's kind of nifty too. But
I do it anyway.
I will try to be back. Not letters next week, but I really do appreciate you taking the time. I'm going to put the links for all three books, for The Mistress Murders, for Paris Time, and for Five Golden Rings in the comments of the chat, so you can pick them up if you haven't gotten them already. Dragonblade books are the very best deal pre-order period, so you want to grab them pre-order period, because they're just like, I mean, it's just, they couldn't be a better deal than the one they are. And you can always read in Kindle Unlimited as well, which I don't know about you ladies, but I am doing that quite a bit right now, reading in Kindle Unlimited, because I love that there's no barrier. I could just go, oh, that sounds good, and then I can go. So,
except when you get too many of them.
Well, there's that. I did have that come
up.
Like
shut you down.
I don't want to get, like, which one of these books that I have on my Kindle I don't want to get rid of any of them. So
I know, I never want to get rid of them. It's very upsetting.
But, well, ladies, thanks again for taking the time. I really do appreciate it. And we will be back here the same time next week for everybody else. Thanks so much. Have a happy holiday.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yes. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.